everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. I'm your host, KingNightAsp, ElderPunk. This is going to be confusing. I'll get it right on the next one, maybe. I'm your host, ElderPunk, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Richie. Richie, what's going on? Isn't yours a baseball shirt? It's true. Nice. Yep, all that spring training's gone on here in Arizona. I was listening to Sports Talk here, and they were breaking it down. They're like, as Arizonans, spring training is no longer for us. Because you cannot get a ticket to spring training games on the weekend for less than $100. You don't even pay that much to go to the actual games. I always thought when I was a young adult, let's say college age, when I had kids, it would be awesome living in Arizona to go take my kids for $10 to go sit in the grass and watch a baseball game of any team I chose that plays there in spring training. Instead, what you get is the only ones you can go watch are the really bad teams that play in like Maryvale in 30-year-old stadiums, and that's the best you're gonna get. So I don't know, kind of sucks, but what can you do? Anyways, we're not here for baseball, so yep. Yeah, there's a very small amount of time in there where there's maybe 3 or 4 big stories that break. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers will wait till then to make a splash, so he's got all the attention. He'll come back from his spirit walk in the desert and yes, walkabout. He's gonna come back from the Serengeti with a lion over his shoulders. Got plenty to talk about right now, so good to go. All right. Hold on, I'm fixing the audio. Okay. No one could hear you at the beginning. Now they can hear you. All right, we're good.
That's okay. I didn't have anything important to say.
Yeah, I heard everything. So will the audio podcast. Good to go.
All right. Well, our personal top 5 most intriguing free agents, I thought would be a fun way to kick this off. And I'll go first. It's not super intriguing, but he's probably the only starting quarterback available as a free agent, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. Even though I'm fairly certain he's just going to end up in Las Vegas with Josh McDaniels.
I thought I heard you say cornerback, so when you said Garoppolo, I was confused for a second. Okay, quarterback.
Quarter. QB. I'll just say QB.
There you go. Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, that'll be interesting. Although I'm sure that now that Carr is a Saint, there's no chance Jimmy's not going to play under his old offensive coordinator.
Exactly. I'm fairly certain that's where he ends up. But I mean, you never know. The Falcons could decide to make a move. The 49ers could get aggressive re-signing. You never know. Something could happen. But just as far as the position goes, as important that QBs are, that is one that I watching.
All right,
What
well,
about you?
I'll stick on the QB train since mine's not really in a particular order, though my number one is definitely the one on everybody's in coming out of their mouths this week. But that's Lamar Jackson, an MVP
Although
player.
technically not a free agent.
Sure.
But yeah, obviously that is everybody's talking about him.
It is.
Everybody's envisioning him going somewhere else, but I don't see a team.
I don't think
paying
it's
him-
possible for him to go
No.
somewhere else. And there's a reason for that, but I'll tell you when you finish.
What's that? Oh, I was just
Okay,
saying,
well-
I just don't see a team paying him. What does he want? 40 million fully guaranteed a year, 45 million fully guaranteed a year, and giving up 2 first-round picks? I don't see that happening.
I don't completely buy into the collusion thing, but I do see the merit in people bringing it up because the fact, why in the freaking world would teams with quarterbacks already go out of their way to tell everyone that they will not be pursuing Lamar Jackson? For example, the Bears. Why did you even say anything? Why did 5 different teams who have established quarterbacks on their team come out and say, we are not going to be pursuing him?
To show a united front with the Ravens.
Yeah, dude, if you don't believe in collusion, I can understand why. But I cannot understand why you would ever need to say this as an organization. The only reason I could think is that to show your quarterback that you back them. But if you said nothing, why would he believe you didn't? So that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the other thing with that is the Ravens have a chance to match anything given to Lamar Jackson. And I'm going to bring up we're talking baseball. I'm going to talk basketball real quick. The Phoenix Suns did absolutely freaking nothing in the offseason because they spent the entire time holding up all their resources just hoping that in the offseason they could trade for Kevin Durant. And by the end of the offseason, they were picking through the scraps, and then nothing had really changed or gotten better for the team coming into this year compared to the year they had last year where they lost in the second round of the playoffs. So every team out there that would want to sign Lamar Jackson is going to have all their money and draft picks tied up for an entire month finding out if they're going to get Lamar Jackson and miss out on free agency completely. I just don't see anyone trying to sign him for that reason alone, unless they are on the precipice of being a Super Bowl winning team and they're only missing a quarterback. For example, maybe the 49ers. But that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think any team is going to want to pay him what he wants. The Ravens tagged him because the franchise tag this year is cheaper than signing him to a deal, so they save money. And the only teams that would sign him because they need a franchise quarterback. Atlanta, the Jets, they don't have the cap space to do it. They don't have $45 million to pay this guy every year. Or this year, and then who know, whatever. But yeah, I think the Ravens are basically saying, like, listen, we know no one's going to try to negotiate with you because behind closed doors they've all communicated it, or publicly they've communicated it. And go back to what you said. If a team has a quarterback, they can tell that quarterback, hey, listen, we're not going after Lamar. They don't need to make it public. They made it public for a reason. They're trying to show Lamar, and future other players, like, you're not going to hold us ransom for what you want. We're going to pay you what we're going to pay you, type thing. But then on the flip side, somebody like Daniel Jones gets $40 million a year. So if you don't think Lamar Jackson's
that Daniel Jones deal.
Yeah.
Woo.
It's that whole Lamar thing is just super weird, man. Like, I get Baltimore being nervous because the last couple of years he's missed games due to injury, but he's also the best quarterback they've had in my lifetime, better than Joe Flacco ever was. I don't know. I think he plays in Baltimore. His only other option is to
Who
sit
did-
out the year like Le'Veon Bell did a couple seasons
You
ago.
just
He's not.
blew my mind. Like, who was their quarterback before Flacco? Culpepper. No, that was the Vikings.
That was the Vikings, and that was in the 90s.
Yeah. Who was the Ravens?
I can't remember them ever having.
Max.
They had who was the one they won the Super Bowl with? It was like Trent Dilfer or something. They won a Super, but they didn't win a Super Bowl because of Trent Dilfer. They won a Super Bowl.
Okay, I got a list here.
Yeah.
96-97 was Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah.
1998 was Jim Harbaugh.
That's awesome.
Tony Banks, Stoney Case, Scott Mitchell. Apparently, they were just going for all the Lions rejects in that year. Trent Dilfer, Randall Cunningham, and Elvis Gerbach. Jeff Blake and Chris Bredman. And then 2003, it went Kyle Bowler for 3 years. Actually, Kyle Bowler for 4 years with a year of Steve McNair in there. And then they got Joe Flacco. So,
No.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You're talking
Nothing.
30 years.
They
Yeah,
don't have, yuck.
Yeah, but again, I get why Baltimore doesn't, and I think the problem is that Lamar wants the majority of the contract fully guaranteed because that's what Deshaun Watson got, and they don't want to do that because they're worried he's going to miss games. So, on a business side, it's a tough decision, but I also like you said, when they're other teams are like, don't worry, Baltimore, we're not going to negotiate with him. They're basically, it is a little bit of collusion. They're like, yeah, he's going to have to play on that tag or sit out the year. Like, those are his options. So, I think he plays, but I also think there will come a time where he gets hurt and sits out the rest of the season. So,
Well, yeah. See, here's the thing, right?
because they have a Pro Bowl backup. They got a Pro Bowler as their backup.
Oh,
Why not?
God,
just play
please
new punter?
don't. Stop. Please
He's a
stop.
Pro Bowler.
Stop. We've been over this. Here's the thing. People thought that that's what he did in the playoff game and why he didn't play the playoff game, because he's just like, well, they're not paying me. I have no reason to go out there and get hurt. And I'm already been hurt, so I might as well sit it out. I would be surprised if he did get a small injury and then sat out the rest of the season. That would not surprise me.
No, not at all.
So,
yeah. And then going into next season, it becomes, do they tag him a second time, and which it would still be cheaper than paying him $45 million a year, or
exactly.
do they just let him walk? So.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was we still got the rest of our free agents to go through. So I'm gonna go quick. Tremaine Edmonds, as a linebacker from Buffalo, I love him. I'd love to see him wind up on either Detroit or Washington. I've actually seen a lot of people think he's gonna end up in Detroit, but he's just a tackle machine. So excited to see where he goes.
I do like that guy. I can picture him in his Bills uniform, because it's one. You ever think about like Ray Lewis or like these linebackers, and anytime you hear the name, you picture them in their uniform? Tremaine Edmonds is one of those guys for the Bills. So, my number 4 is Jacoby Myers, who's 26, so he's not that old. He is a ridiculously good receiver, in my opinion, from the Patriots. Lions lost DJ Chark. I would not be upset if they got this guy instead.
As their third?
Yeah.
That'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah, because behind the Sun God and Jamo, we really don't have anything to shout about. So draft a wide receiver and pick up Jacoby Myers, and I would be very happy. So, but I'm interested to see where he goes, because either way, whoever gets him is going to get a good receiver and a young one who they can get for a lot of years.
Yeah,
honestly,
he's played with terrible quarterbacks in New England, so he hasn't really had a chance to shine yet. So I hope he ends up somewhere with a good quarterback.
Watch him take the spot of Juju on the Chiefs.
Oof. That'd be nice.
Imagine that.
That'd be nice.
Tony, Jacoby Myers, and the other guy.
Hardman or Kelsey?
No, it's the other one that was getting.
Oh, yeah, the rookie they drafted, right?
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore, yeah.
And that's not even the guy I was actually thinking of. Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling.
Oh, I thought he was a free agent too, or no?
Is he? I didn't see him on the list, so I'm not
I
totally
thought
sure.
him
But
and
that would make
Juju
sense.
were both 1-year deals. So, but yeah, I'm not 100% positive. But yeah,
Either way, Sky
like
Moore
him.
is really good. So
Yes. I'm just gonna group my third and my next two together because they're both offensive linemen. Jawan Taylor and Orlando Brown Jr. They're both young offensive linemen. They're both top offensive linemen in the NFL, and looking at the Cardinals, looking at the Commanders, and even the Bears for my dad, like they all need offensive linemen desperately. So if any of my teams could sign somebody like this that you could have for 3, 4, 5 years, I would be very happy.
yeah, I'm with you. Anytime there's good linemen out there, that'd be a good
It's
one.
what I do in Madden. Every time I do a franchise in Madden, my number one focus to start is beefing up the trenches.
Well, Jason Kelsey's out there as well, and center is a primo position. So
Yeah, but isn't he getting kind of old?
yeah, it's linemen. I don't care if they're old.
Well, because there's Ben Jones from Titans. They cut him. He's a good center, and I think he's a little bit younger. But yeah, there are some good linemen, man. It's not a flashy free agency period. There's not, besides the Aaron Rodgers drama or Lamar Jackson drama, there's not really a big name free agent that everyone's going to be chasing after, in my opinion. So it's just a matter of like finding the right fit.
Yeah, there's just a lot of really good pieces.
Yes.
If you're missing pieces, there's just the people that will slot right into those slots.
That's the perfect way to put it. Just some really good pieces.
There's some pieces here. We got some pieces.
Pieces.
Yeah.
What else you got?
Well, you've done what, 4 years? So I'll go with my number 2 and my number 3 here. First off, I'm going to stick on the wide receiver train, and that is Odell Beckham Jr., only for the fact that I still think he's a really, really good receiver, and that wherever he goes will be noteworthy.
Did you see that one-handed catch he made in his workout this week?
I did not, but
so he worked out in Phoenix for teams, and he was running I think it's like a stop and go route or whatever. Mm-hmm. But basically, he like cut inside, then cut back to the pylon in the end zone, and the ball was a little underthrown. So he reaches out with his right hand and grabs it like downwards.
Moving down? That's awesome.
Yeah, with one hand, just palms the ball, and everyone's like, holy crap. So he still has great hands. I mean...
Yeah, the dude he got injured in the Super Bowl, didn't play last year, and he's still got it. So I've seen things that he's even considering going back to the Giants right now. There's a few different teams that I know that he's been in talks with, but I mean, wherever he goes, that'll be awesome. And I honestly would not be upset if he wound up on one of my teams. I just think he's that good.
He is. He really is. The Cardinals need a receiver if they move on from DeAndre Hopkins. So I wouldn't mind. He worked out in Phoenix. I don't know if he lives here in the off season or anything, but
yeah,
I'd be okay with him on any of my teams. He's, he hasn't played in over a year, but that doesn't mean he's not still one of the best receivers.
So my other one, for a team that had thank God Keim's gone, because last year they needed cornerbacks and they got nothing. They still got nothing, and now they're losing Byron Murphy, possibly in free agency. So Byron Murphy is my other one. The question is whether we see if the Cardinals try to re-sign him, and if he does re-sign back in the city where he was drafted, or if he goes somewhere else, because on the Cardinals he was a number 1 cornerback, but in my humble opinion, he's a number 2. And it'll be interesting to see. He's a good number 2, by the way. But it'll be nice. It'll be interesting to see where he winds up. And I only bring him up specifically because the Lions need cornerbacks, good ones. Jeff Okudah, we don't even really have a number 1. Jeff Okudah would technically be the number 1, and he had a good season last year. Thank God, finally. But it would be interesting to see Byron Murphy line up across from Jeff Okudah, and then Jerry Jacobs and Ora Warrior and Will Harris and all those guys can fight for 3. I hate
Turned on
Aurorier.
Aurorier. Okay,
Oh, I
was gonna say,
did.
thought you turned on him, yeah.
He's not in the 1 or 2. That's for damn sure. If he can, he was still the guy I was doting on at the beginning of last season. He's still that guy, so maybe he can turn it around as a slot corner. Who knows? But we need somebody there in case he can't. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Cardinals didn't re-sign Byron Murphy. I thought he was a great corner. I'm fine with him as the Cardinals #1. I thought he developed nicely. The problem was there was no one else back there with him besides Buddha. Like, so he did everything he could, but it was like 2 guys trying to cover 5 receivers. They've got the cap space. I think they should at least make him an offer. But with a new GM, you never know. The new GM may just say, "Now, let him go. I want to start fresh," type thing. But yeah, I like Murphy.
that should.
I think.
Let me jump that to my 5th. I have 2 on my 5th, but you have one of them on your list, so I'm going.
Yes.
But there's a reason there were 2 there.
First, wait, real quick. Top 5 most intriguing free agents. First off, you picked 6, and then you went with one of them who's not even a free agent. So I just
Lamar Jackson is listed on the free agent list.
He got franchise tag. That's not
right, but he's still listed, and people can still offer him.
You could have taken him off, and then would have just had 5. Is what I'm saying. Like you.
But I wanted to talk about that because the collusion thing.
It's like that TikTok where they have the shapes and they all fit into the square hole. That's what you did. Like you could have put the shape into a different hole, but you put it in the square hole.
That's your next TikTok. That'll get us another 17K likes.
I'm a one-hit wonder, man. I'm a one-hit wonder.
So I want to bring up James Bradbury from the Eagles.
Yes.
There's I've heard a lot of momentum about the Cardinals signing him to the team, and all the websites out there are, when they list the free agents and they list like the team that they most fit on in free agency, a lot of them have the Cardinals as that team as well. So we might not see Byron Murphy come back to the Cardinals, but if they do get James Bradbury, that would be a fine swap in my opinion. No matter what people say about the Super Bowl and James Bradbury, he is a good cornerback.
Well, and he knows the defense because this is the head coach. He is a little bit older than Byron Murphy, but yeah, I would be fine with it. Either Murphy or Bradbury, to me, I would be fine with them being the #1 corner for the Cardinals.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the other one, that's your #1.
No.
What is it?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Eagles. That dude.
Another guy I was doting on a ton at the end of last season in the postseason.
He gets traded from New Orleans last offseason for like a 5th round pick or some garbage. And then goes on to just have an amazing season for the Super Bowl.
But he had like 6 or 7 interceptions last season.
Yes. And he missed like 3 games at the end of the year.
Yeah.
What a season for that guy. I think he's going to get paid because he's 26, 27. So, I mean, he's going to get a pretty nice contract from somebody. I'd love to see him come to Arizona. He's got the connection with the head coach. If they just signed both Bradbury and Gardner-Johnson, I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, if who signed him?
Arizona.
Oh, because the biggest thing I've seen, and here's the other part to it. He's already posted and deleted because, on the internet, everything stays forever. He's already posted a goodbye to Philadelphia. So he is.
I think that's because they can't re-sign him. I don't think they have the cap space.
So he's he's gone. But the other thing is he's been linked to the Lions a ton of times.
Really? I did not hear that.
And a lot of people think that is where he's going to end up. And I am telling you, when I heard this news, I was freaking stoked because I would love for him to be a Lion. So, if Chauncey Gardner-Johnson winds up on the Lions, I'm going to be very excited So
Yeah.
now to get why I had the two there, those are two of the best backs on the Eagles. And I don't know if you've looked at the free agent list and what Eagles are on that list, but holy crap, there are so many of them. Their secondary is going to be, half of it's going to be gone, their best parts. I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were this year, next year. I don't think they're a lock in any way, shape, or form to go to the Super Bowl.
No, I mean their offense is going to be pretty dang good still, but the defense, yeah, they lost a lot of talent and they lost both their coordinators. So obviously it's going to take a hit. I think they'll still be a playoff team. They're not going to win the division because nobody wins the NFC East twice 2 years in a row. They'll be a playoff team, but they're not a Super Bowl. They're not a Super Bowl favorite in my opinion.
Yeah, the worst part, I think, is them losing. Well, I mean, not the worst part, but they need a halfback because Miles Sanders is a free agent, and I don't think that they would start a season with Kenneth Gainwell as their starter.
Well, most likely, what I've seen in mock drafts is with their top 10 pick, they're going to take that Bijan Robinson, the best back in the class, which, I mean, that's just lucky for them to have a top 10 pick when there's Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette type running back available, and they don't need anything else, so why not take him?
Yeah, that's probably their best move there. So it'll be interesting. I don't go right now. Before we go through free agency and the draft, I don't look at them like I did the Bengals after they lost the Super Bowl, where I'm like, the Bengals will be right back there next year. This year, I'm like, I don't know. So
yeah, absolutely, I agree. Not to mention that the Cowboys are going to be better this year if Dak stays healthy. The Giants should continue to get better. They're not losing Jones or Barkley. The jury's out on Sam Howell, but the Commanders could be much better. So, yeah, it's going to be a tougher division, and again, their defense is not nearly as talented with losing all these players. So, but yeah, speaking of the Eagles losing their coordinators, one thing we got to finish up from our last podcast, we went over the head coaches that had been hired before the Super Bowl. Well, the last two openings got filled afterwards. Indianapolis hiring the Eagles offense coordinator Shane Steichen, and the Cardinals hiring the defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. So the Eagles lost the Super Bowl and then lost both of their coordinators. That's it.
I mean, I don't know what to, I literally am speechless. First off, who the fuck are these guys? Second,
Yeah.
You could have had, this is what drives me nuts. The Cardinals didn't even think about Bieniemy, who winds up an offensive coordinator on the Commanders.
Well, that's the funny thing. The Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator takes a lateral move in the same position to a worse team, where the Super Bowl losing offensive coordinator gets a head coach position.
That's what I'm saying. This. Speaking as a Cardinals fan, I just want to go there for the first part of this reaction. You just did this. The only difference between Jonathan Gannon, who's 35, who signed a defensive coordinator that's 21, 29, is in their mid-20s, something like that. They are
Very young, yeah.
They are the youngest top three coaches on a team by 8 years. Their average age compared to the rest of the NFL, 8 years younger than the rest of the NFL. 8 years. You just had Cliff Kingsbury, young, no experience, didn't know what he was doing, in my opinion, and it showed the entire time he was there, despite getting extensions. And then you signed this guy because his team went to the Super Bowl and lost. Lost because they scored 2 touchdowns. That was a play from week 3 of the NFL that you were beat by the Jags with. The Jags beat you with this play in week 3, and you did nothing an entire season to do anything about it. And then in the Super Bowl, they scored 2 touchdowns on you using it.
Well, and the Eagles led at the half and then collapsed in the second half because they couldn't stop Travis Kelce and an injured Patrick Mahomes. That's on the defensive coordinator, and yet he still gets the head coaching job. The one thing I'll say about him versus Kingsbury is at least Gannon comes from the NFL, so he has NFL experience. But I still don't believe. I have no faith in him as a head coach. I have no faith in that organization at this point.
I want to believe that Monty Austinfort is a good GM. I think it was very. See, they did 2 things. They did one really dumb thing and then one really smart thing. For the first time in 30 years, they signed a GM from outside of the organization.
Yeah.
Very smart move, in my opinion. And then they went ahead and signed a 35-year-old coach, which they just had, who could not get the job done, when they could have had any other coach with experience. So I don't know.
Well, that's the problem. I don't think they could have had any other coach. There were a lot of rumblings with Sean Payton that he didn't want to coach Kyler Murray. I personally believe that is an issue with some of the coaches they wanted. Those coaches did not want to coach Kyler.
You could I could guarantee with a 98% chance that there would be a coach with 20 years experience in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
that would want that job.
But I think I don't know. The Eagles' defense was very good last year in the regular season and the playoffs before the second half of the Super Bowl, but that alone does not make a head coach in my opinion. I would have rather see them keep Vance Joseph and just promote him to head coach.
Yeah. That would have been smart, honestly.
Yeah.
Because he earned it. After being the first season he was the defensive coordinator, he was real bad. And I thought he was going to be fired then. He came back and had one of the better. He coached a really good defense with not a lot of talent to be a decent defense. And he did it for 2 years. I think he deserved it, but it was the same type of situation that you got with, what was that coach in, there was the coach, was it Carolina? Carolina's coach. What was that guy's name? The interim coach.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh.
You know who I'm talking about. Had an awesome end of the season. Had a garbage team playing and winning. And then they're like, oh, we got to bring in Steve Wilkes. Yeah, exactly.
He was the Cardinals coach a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, man, I don't know. Anyways, I don't want to completely shit on this signing because I don't know if he's going to be good, but I don't like it. That's all I can say.
I am of the mindset that I as a season ticket holder that drives 6 hours round trip to go and watch them lose for the past since COVID basically, I am in full shit on the Cardinals mode. Until they show me that they're going to start winning games and are making the right decisions, I am completely going to shit on them constantly. So that ought to be fun. The other thing I want to say real quick for Indianapolis getting the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, the only thing that makes me think is for a team that needs a quarterback, they should be the ones to go after Bryce Young because he could fit right into that Jalen Hurts role that Steve Steichen was running in Philly. So that's just the only thing that I think of when I think of Indianapolis as head coach.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. I just think Indianapolis is a dumpster fire in general. I don't know this guy from Adam.
Jonathan Taylor.
I don't know how old Shane Steichen is.
He's also young.
I was gonna guess that.
Yeah, I'll see real quick, but that was my only. He is 37 years old.
Who was the coach that had the health issues that Bruce Arians took over for? I really liked that coach when the Colts had him. The older guy.
Oh, was that Dungy?
No, it wasn't Dungy. It was let me see. Who did Arians take over for in Indianapolis? Chuck Pagano.
Oh yes, Chuck Pagano. Yes, he was really good.
Yeah, I like that
He
guy.
was really good. Is he? Oh no, he retired in 2021. Okay.
I would also like to throw this out there, just because I liked him as a Lions coach, and he did nothing to deserve being fired. Why is no one hiring Jim Caldwell? He had he got fired from the Lions for a 9-7 record. 9-7 on the Lions, and they fired him saying, "We need a coach who'll get us more than that." They're like, he just turned around a team that had 3 wins 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
And then since then, cannot get a job somehow. They're like, "Oh, you got fired from the Lions?"
He has been interviewed a couple of times, but he's never gotten it. Right now he is a senior assistant for the Panthers under Frank Reich.
I'm just saying, man. I would have loved Jim Caldwell on the Cardinals. That would have been awesome.
Well,
that guy is really good.
Jim Caldwell, Eric Bieniemy. I mean, there's so many quality coaches out there that.
Well, you know who's available, right?
Who?
The ASU's old head coach.
Oh yeah, Herm Edwards.
Herm Edwards is ready to go.
Oh yeah, God, ASU. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see how that goes during the season for these two coaches, and I'm sure we'll be discussing Arizona quite a bit.
Well, okay. What are the new head coaches for 2023? I want to put before the season, before free agency, before the draft. I want to say which of the. I think there's 5. Which of the 5 we think is going to have the most success? So who are the 5?
Let's see.
You've got the guy from the Broncos, Sean Payton.
The guy from the Broncos.
Jonathan Gannon. You got Shane Steichen. Who are the other 2? Who's in Houston?
Frank Reich in Indy and D'Amico Ryans in Houston.
Frank Reich in Indy. You mean Carolina?
Carolina, sorry. Yeah, Carolina.
Okay, so Frank Reich in Carolina, D'Amico Ryans in Houston, Shane Steichen in Indianapolis, Jonathan Gannon. I think this is easy. Honestly.
So I'm honestly going to go with, I'm going to say Carolina. And it's probably not what you were going to say. Who are you going to say?
I was going to say Peyton because he's got a good team.
Right. Here's my problem with that, though, is he's playing in a division with other good teams. I know the Broncos are better than the Panthers, but they also have to play the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders. I think the Panthers, the Bucks have no quarterback. The Falcons have no quarterback. Who the hell else is in that division? I don't remember. So I think if they get the right quarterback, I liked Frank Reich in Indy. And Philly, I think he's a good coach. And look at how well they played last season with no talent. I think Carolina, if they sign a couple people, I mean, they don't have DJ Moore anymore, but if they sign some people and they draft the quarterback, CJ Stroud maybe, I think Carolina could have a pretty good season with Frank Reich. I know Denver's the better team, so it wouldn't surprise me if they had a good season. I just worry about falling into the same trap we did last year, where it's like, oh, look at all the talent they have, and then they just suck.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand. Frank, I'm going to be honest, Chuck Pagano isn't the coach I was thinking of. It was actually Frank Reich.
Oh, okay.
I really like Frank Reich.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm like, all right, they get the number 1 pick now. Go get CJ Stroud.
I looked up the picture of Frank Reich, and I looked up the picture of Chuck Pagano, and I'm like, it is not Chuck Pagano, it is Frank Reich. He is the guy that I like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that dude, I that's why I think Carolina, it's like, man, I know they don't have a lot of big name talent on there, but they got a much easier path to winning their division in the NFC South right now.
I want to ask you real quick. I know we're going to spend forever tonight talking football. That's fine. Yeah, I'm cool with that because we haven't done it in a while. But I wanted to ask you this. Who is your favorite coach that's not from your teams to watch to see like post-game interviews with.
Ooh. Well, can I count the Lions as not one of my teams, or does Dan Campbell count as?
I was thinking for you, I was thinking Washington and Arizona. So
all right, well then Dan Campbell for sure. That dude's got such a good personality, man. He's funny, like just the biting kneecaps and stuff. Like he's such a vibrant personality. Like, and that's why I think the Lions are like they had such a good year last year, and there's a lot of hype around them because he's
on such a likable coach.
Life. Yeah, and he's injecting life in a franchise that just really needed a reason to get excited. So yeah, I love watching Dan Campbell interviews.
So I only asked this question so I could talk about this guy because every single time I see him, I crack up. And I thought he was an idiot before last season. When I saw his interviews, I'm like, listen to this guy talk. He knows nothing about football. Like, how did a...
Like, can I guess who you're going to say?
How did a Madden playing on his couch nerd become a head coach?
Exactly.
Who is it? Who do you know who I'm talking about?
Miami.
Yes, Mike McDaniel from Miami. I love that guy.
Yeah.
If you go look up Mic'd Up on the sidelines, like anything with Mike McDaniel, is fucking hilarious.
You see the one where he asked Justin Fields to stop running?
Then they post-game interview where he's like, that guy doesn't listen.
He was mic'd up, and he's like, "Can you stop running?"
Yeah, he was mic'd up, and then someone asked him, and he's like, "No, I don't like that guy. He doesn't listen. He just doesn't listen."
He is such a fun head coach.
Anytime I can catch Mike McDaniel interviews, I'm all about him. And the biggest thing is like I said, I thought he was an idiot before last season, but the Dolphins were really good. So obviously he knows what he's doing, and he's still having fun being himself. So I like that guy.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. So we've already talked about the Super Bowl a little bit, but basically it's funny when I went back and looked at our picks. Me, you, and even Brick all picked the Eagles, and they collapsed. The Chiefs won 38-35.
Brick with the score pick. It might have been backwards,
but close. Yeah, 37-34 was his pick. So I thought it was gonna be a low-scoring game, but it was a good Super Bowl. It was high scoring. There was drama. The ending left a bitter taste in some people's mouths because it ended with a holding penalty.
The holding penalty wasn't. Well, I mean, that's what led to the part that I didn't like. I'm like, we're just going to run out the clock to end a Super Bowl? This is super lame.
That's how you win. I mean, they did the right thing. The Chiefs.
No, I'm not saying they didn't do the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's like, for a game that good to end that way is like,
if the Eagles had gotten the ball back with a chance to drive down and kick a field goal to tie it, or like that would have been so exciting.
Yeah.
But
time runs out as a field goal gets kicked. The field goals are the worst thing in the NFL. I hate them. Especially since the Lions lose to them so much.
Yeah, but lose to like historically long ones too.
Yes, exactly. Justin Tucker, 61 yards. Yay! I still remember where I was. I was on a trolley from St. Thomas to St. John watching the freaking play-by-play on my phone.
Oh, I remember it happened a couple seasons ago. Me and you were driving to the Cardinals game, and the Vikings kicked a field goal to beat the Lions.
That was the same year. Same year. I'm like, again? Again?
Heartbreak, man. But yeah, it was a good game. I enjoyed it. That's all I want out of Super Bowls because my teams are never in them. I just want points to be scored, and
Well, for everyone that thought that was going to be a defensive Super Bowl, it's the Super Bowl. Yeah. It's not.
I really thought the Eagles' defense was going to be as good as they had been up until then, but no, they gave up 38 points and couldn't stop Travis Kelce. But that's our new head coach. What are you going to do?
Let me just bring this up because I thought about this after the game. I was driving to your house to watch the Super Bowl in the city you live in back in the day for the first I don't know if you want me to say it
I
on
like
it,
how
but
you didn't want to mention the city I live in as if someone's gonna hunt me down.
yeah, just in case. But I remember driving there and I hearing on the radio, right? They were talking about Patrick Mahomes like he was the next Tom Brady, and I was so freaking annoyed because I'm like, A, the Super Bowl hasn't even been played. This is his first one. We haven't even played it, and you're anointing him the next Tom Brady. Well, now after this Super Bowl, this was what, his third one, and he's 2-1 in the Super Bowl now.
Yep.
I mean,
And it's his third Super Bowl in
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, Tom Brady's retiring. Now we got a new dynasty, and and here's the funny part. I hated the Tom Brady dynasty. I love watching Patrick Mahomes play.
See, the thing that I always loved about Tom was that he did it with different people. All like, Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. Like it wasn't, he didn't need a bunch of people around him. He lifted everybody around him up. And to me, watching this Super Bowl with Mahomes, that's what I saw. I was like, he's good enough to make everybody else around him look better. And that's, to me, what makes him the next Brady.
I think the biggest thing will be when Kelsey's gone, is he the same Mahomes that he was with Kelsey? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because he's got a crutch right now. But I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I want to see if he can win a Super Bowl without one of the best top 3 tight ends ever. So,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, that will be fun to watch. I also think Andy Reid's a big part of it. I think Andy Reid probably, at this point, is definitely on the list of greatest coaches of all time.
For sure. He's definitely up there.
I'm on the other side when I look at dynasties, and I have friends that are Chiefs fans, and I do like Mahomes as a person, just like Brady. I don't like when anybody constantly wins. And I'm already sitting here thinking, the Chiefs are going to be winning the AFC, 7 of the next 9 years probably, and win the Super Bowl. And it's just, to me, I'm like, I want to see the Bills win one. I want to see the Bengals win one.
That's what I was going to say. The good news is as much as we talk about parity in the NFL, we're in the same type of situation as we were before. Because before it was Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Ben Roethlisberger. Yep. Those were the 3 going at it every year to win that side of the NFL. And then whoever made it on the other side, whatever. Now we've got Allen, Burrow, and Brady. And we're getting the same... What did I say? Brady? Sorry, Mahomes. Well, I guess, there's where my thoughts lie on that.
Same thing.
But Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. We're going to have that same type of awesome, like, classic playoff games deal again. And I don't think that I can be upset about that. Allen, especially since it's the AFC.
Get their rings. Manning got a ring eventually. Roethlisberger got 1 or 2. No. As long as Burrow and Allen get their chance and get their rings that they deserve, I just don't want to see, some of the best quarterbacks go down without getting a ring because Mahomes was like the gatekeeper the entire time.
That's the newest gatekeeper.
Yeah, and I am very happy it's not the NFC. And the NFC is actually losing one of their longest reigning quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers, hopefully. So the NFC's like,
dude,
Jalen Hurts, we're wide open.
By the way, I'm 2 beers in, and I am feeling good.
Oh, I'm well aware. I'm watching.
I want to talk about where Aaron Rodgers is rumored to be going when we get to free agency. I don't know if it's in your notes, but I remember to ask me. I don't want to jump ahead. So
okay. Well, I mean, there's as far as I know, there's only really one place he's rumored to go. But yeah, let's go real quick through the post Super Bowl news. So Devin McCourty retired. We'll add him to the list of retirees. That just happened this week.
Great cornerback. Great. Yeah. Always on that big time player in a lot of those Patriots Super Bowls.
Yeah. So just wanted to mention that. Derek Carr, I think you talked about this earlier. He was cut by the Raiders, signed with the Saints. And then I added the contracts in here for these three quarterbacks because I just wanted to look at them. So Derek Carr, 4 years, 150 million, 37.5 million a year. Geno Smith re-signed with the Seahawks.
I am
75 million.
So stoked for him.
That is,
honestly, that is like the
really awesome turnaround
to win the comeback player of the year, to work his way into a position where there's no question he's the starting quarterback, because on a team that we gave really good odds at the beginning of last season to have the number 1 pick because Geno Smith was their quarterback. He tore it up this year.
We were ridiculing him.
He deserved that money for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, hey, we were wrong, man, and we can admit it. Like, I
like comeback stories, and I am completely fine being wrong with this. So
yes, absolutely. And then Daniel Jones re-signed with the Giants. We mentioned this earlier because it's just freaking hilarious. 4 years, 160 million, 40 million a year, and 105 guaranteed.
105 of that 160.
Well over half of his contract's fully guaranteed.
How freaking crazy!
Off of 1 year, 1 season. This past season, that's all it was based off of. So
he's making more than Derek Carr, who I feel like is a better quarterback.
Yep, absolutely. But that's why with Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones gets 40 million a year. You're telling me Lamar Jackson's not worth 45 to 50? Like, come on.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And all these this is what drives me crazy about the Ravens. The longer you wait, the more likely the price is to go up than it is to go down. Quarterback contracts do not go down. And if they do, it's not by very much. If he's your quarterback, sign him before you have to pay more and you're more upset about it. It doesn't make any sense that they're not paying this guy.
Well, if they've decided that they just don't want to invest long term in him.
They are dumb.
Injury
D-U-M dumb.
I will say that as a business decision though, tagging him for what is it, like 37.5 million for this season rather than signing him and paying him 45 to 50 million this year, they are saving money doing it this way.
Knowing full well with the collusion that they're not going to be screwed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah. I don't know, man. I'm curious to see what happens there. But yeah, Daniel Jones getting 40 million a year, I find that hilarious. But
that's the weird one. Because everyone thought he was going to be gone after last year. And they had a good year, and they're like, here's
that's the thing.
almost 40 million a year.
He didn't have an amazing year.
What were his stats? I feel like he didn't have as good a year as people.
He didn't have a blow it out of the water type year. I mean,
2022, he had 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. 15.
He's going to make almost $3 million per touchdown.
You are telling me that you can't find any other cheaper quarterback to throw 15 touchdowns and 3,200 yards.
They could have signed Jimmy Garoppolo.
They could have signed anyone. Those stats are terrible.
Yep.
Did he make the Pro Bowl?
I don't.
Tyler Huntley did. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous.
That's so bad. Hey, I'm not a Giants fan, so I don't care. Exactly. Waste your money.
I find it hilarious.
Yeah, that's like
do dumb things.
Yeah, exactly. So weird.
All right. So then franchise tags, we talked about Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and Daron Payne all got the same tag, non-exclusive, meaning they can negotiate with other teams, and then their team has the chance to match or receive 2 first-round picks from the negotiating team. Lamar Jackson's the only one who could possibly get signed by another team, and the Ravens receive 2 first-rounders. No one's going to do that for Jacobs, Pollard, Barkley, and definitely not Ingram or Payne. So I'm just glad Washington, as a Commanders fan, I didn't want Deron Payne to go. He had a great year last year. Him and Jonathan Allen in the
He's a
middle
beast.
was amazing.
Love
Yes.
Deron
So,
Payne.
I wish they would have signed him to a long-term deal. They still can before June 1st, I think. So maybe it still gets done. I'm just glad he's not going anywhere. Very happy about that.
The only one on here that I look at and it intrigues me a little is the Tony Pollard one.
Yes.
Because Ezekiel, if they are truly going to move on from Ezekiel Elliott, which this doesn't make me feel like they are at all, you would think they would want Tony Pollard on an actual contract.
Well, and as of right now, they are paying 2 of the top 10 highest paid running backs in the NFL. Ezekiel Elliott gets $15 million a year. Tony Pollard is going to get $10 million a year. So that's an insane amount of money to spend on one position. They keep saying they're going to keep Elliott, and if they do, great. But they're still paying way too much money to their running backs. Like it's very short-sighted. I know, they wanted to keep Tony Pollard because he fits their offense, but all right, well then give him the keys to the offense and trade Elliott, or I don't know. It's very I agree. It's a stupid decision. It's just way too much, especially when you look at they're losing Dalton Schultz at tight end, and for their receivers they've got CeeDee Lamb and nothing else. So, why are you spending $10 million a year on Tony Pollard and you should be spending $10 million on Odell Beckham?
Yeah, on something that you actually need.
Yes.
Unless you're just afraid to lose him because you think he actually would be the replacement for Ezekiel.
Well, and if you think that, then you have to commit. It's like it's just,
that's the thing. Like, yeah, you need to commit. Right now they're just playing like this is the guy dating 2 girls. They can't pick between them.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it together, Jerry.
Jerry Jones. He's probably just senile at this point.
Jerry Jones would have like 6 girlfriends if he could.
Well, if he probably does. I mean, let's be honest here. Yeah.
Jerry Jones strikes me as the guy that like has 6 girlfriends ranging between 21 and 29.
Have you ever seen the South Park where they had Jerry Jones as like a character on there? And they drew him with his eyes like giant and going in different directions. Every time I think of Jerry Jones, I just picture that.
Picture the South Park episode?
Yeah, that's how I see him. He's not even a human being. He's just a
That's like Mark Cuban. That's the other one for me. Mark Cuban reminds me, he should be a cartoon.
See, Mark Cuban, I think of The League when he was on The League, and that's like, it's like I don't think of him for owning the Mavs. I'm just like, you're on Shark Tank.
Shark Tank, yeah. Mark Cuban.
Yeah, that's all you are to me. All right, so let's go into some of the biggest cuts. These are some of the biggest names that I recognize. So Carson Wentz got cut by the Commanders, not a surprise.
What?
Yeah, I know. We're moving on from Carson, man.
That's our newest. If you have not checked it out, shameless plug. Coffin Corner Podcast on TikTok. Coffin Corner Podcast.
Yes.
I made a TikTok about Carson Wentz.
You did? You did. Does it have 17,000 likes yet?
We're about 16,900 shy. All right, but we're getting there.
We'll get there. Yeah, Carson Wentz. Marcus Mariota in Atlanta got released, so they're either going to commit to Desmond Ridder or go after a quarterback in the draft. You never know. Leonard Fournette is expected to be released. They've already basically said they're going to cut him. Eric Hendricks, another good linebacker from Minnesota, is available. Adam Thielen got released. Leonard Floyd from the Rams, good pass rusher. Frank Clark from the Chiefs.
Did Thielen even have good stats last year? I feel like everyone drafted him high in fantasy, and he did nothing. Yeah, well, not nothing, but like not.
He probably, my guess, finishes a wide receiver 3. I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's 716 yards, 70 catches. Excuse me. Wow, and 6 touchdowns.
Someone's drunk.
All them bubbles.
Yeah, so I mean he's older. So, but for a team that needs a good third or depth at receiver, he's relatively healthy, good hands.
I searched his stats and I got a story that said top 3 best fits, and it's the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Broncos. According to the Draft Network.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. Where was I? Frank Clark, Byron Jones. This one actually surprised me. Byron Jones from the Dolphins, great corner, but I think he missed all of last year with an injury. So, if he's healthy, he would be a great corner for somebody. Donovan Smith, Shaquille Griffin, another corner. Chosen Robbie Anderson, that is his legal name, was cut by the Cardinals.
What?
Well, you haven't seen that yet?
Meta World Peace?
He changed
Robbie
his name
Anderson?
a couple weeks ago to Chosen Robbie Anderson.
No, please stop. Did he have a single catch as a Cardinal?
One, I think, yes. I remember seeing him catch one ball.
I think he might have had one. A singular catch for the Cardinals.
Let's see here.
Chosen Robbie. What?
2 catches, 10 yards, and that's it.
Is he starting a cult?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I would not sign this man with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't touch Chosen with a 10-foot pole. That's fucking crazy. Who does that?
Meta World Peace does.
I know. That was the first thing that came to my Ocho Cinco. Yeah.
Chad Ocho Cinco. Yeah. I mean, maybe it'll get him attention.
At least Ocho Cinco was a cool name.
It was, and he was popular enough that people were like, "Oh, that's cool." No one cares about Robbie.
Well, I mean, he was being outshined by his teammate when he. I don't know if he changed it when he was on the Bengals. Because TJ Hushmanzada was a way cooler name.
That was. TJ, who's your mama?
Who's your mama?
All right. Bud Dupree, Ben Jones, those Titans cut them. Cam Dantzler, Chase Edmonds is a free agent.
Who was he? Was he on the Chiefs?
Chase Edmonds on the Broncos.
Broncos, that's what it was. I know he wasn't on the Dolphins to end the year.
And then William Jackson, who used to be a Commander, and I actually just saw that Ronald Darby, another Broncos corner that used to be a Commander, got released. And I actually would like to see Ronald Darby come back to Washington, because when he was in Washington 2 years ago, that dude played amazing for us. So I'd love to see him come back.
I'd like to talk about a man that asked to be cut.
Who's that?
And that's Zadarius Smith of the Vikings.
Yes, asked to be released.
Asked to be released, and they said, nope. Not doing it. So that'll be an interesting situation to watch.
I wonder if he could possibly be traded like in July or August for a team that like the Saints did with Gardner Johnson. You trade him away for a 5th, and then he goes on to have an amazing season somewhere else.
You really need that. If I, as a fan, in my opinion, a guy that doesn't want to be there, you got to trade. And then on top of that, the best time to trade a guy like that is the draft.
Yep.
So he should be gone come the end of April. But the odds are that is not the way it will go.
Yeah, that would be a good way to do it, too, because if the Vikings are able to draft a new pass rusher in, say, the 3rd round, then they turn around and trade Zadarius Smith for like a 4th.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that all the time when I play Madden.
This is the way you and I are. We think Madden brain, which is why I like Mike McDaniels.
It works for them too. They need more Madden players in the NFL front offices, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. I got this.
All right.
So let's move on into the scouting combine recap, and I'm gonna do a shout out. Not that anyone will ever hear it or care as much as I do. But as a Detroit Lions fan, as a person that tweets every Lions game at Den Defenders, I know a lot of the Detroit Twitter personalities, and I've interacted with a lot of them on my Twitter account. And one of my absolute favorites, and this doesn't even include what I'm about to talk about. One of my absolute favorites is Math Bomb, because he will talk to anyone during a game and talk, if you're not an idiot, and talk, Lions. Well, if you don't follow Math Bomb on Twitter, A, you should, and B, he came up with the RAS system, which is a system that ranks players based on their combine scores. And that combine score has a massively good reputation for hitting on players. There's a lot of players that have bad RAS scores that do well in the NFL. There's a lot that have good scores that do bad in the NFL. But for the most part, on average, these RAS scores are really, really good indicators of how good players will be in the NFL. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you have not checked out that website in our notes, you should check that out, because that is one of the things I'm going to be using to talk about Combine and how well people did in the Combine. So awesome. I've got it brought up, and I'm gonna bring it up on the stream so people can see it if they're watching. But I don't laugh. But it's there's a couple players that have a perfect score, so that'll be interesting to talk about for sure.
I already know one of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
Without looking, or you looked?
Without looking. I bet if it's based off of like combine.
It's based off
testing?
Combine testing, size, or basically height, weight, their jump, their all those types of things.
How much money do you want to bet? I'll tell you one of them.
I'll bet you $50 you don't get one.
Are you serious?
I'll bet you $50 you don't get one.
All right, I'll take that bet.
Okay.
If it's based off of all those measurements, Anthony Richardson has to have gotten a perfect score.
You son of a bitch.
Boom. Boom. Come on. Especially when you said jump. I'm like, he set the record. He had to have gotten a perfect score.
That's good. Good job.
Thank you.
I'll PayPal you. Yeah, Anthony Richardson. Yeah. Perfect score.
Guy, I watched some of the combine that weekend because I didn't have shit else to do. If he is physically impressive, man. He is physically just a beast.
I cannot. I love Math Bomb. I keep saying Math Bomb. I need to find out his
actual name.
His actual name. I know him as Math Bomb because that's all I've ever interacted with him. But oh yeah, Kentley Platt. His name is Kentley Platt. Awesome guy. But as long as I've followed Kent, we're on a first name basis, by the way. I've never seen a perfect score, and there's two of them this draft.
I don't know who the second one would be. That one would be a lot tougher. But yeah, Anthony Richardson, man. Now, so okay.
So he's got a 10.0, and his comps, and this shows like these are RAS scores. So comps against RAS scores.
Cam Newton, of course.
Cam Newton, Dante Culpepper.
Oh, nice.
And then you got these three players: Zach Conk of Stephen F. Austin in 2017, Tyree Jackson of Buffalo in 2019, and Patrick Towles of Boston College in 2017.
See, and that's I think that kind of speaks to the accuracy, because Culpepper and Newton, of course, two of the best quarterbacks. The other three are more of like, I know Tyree Jackson. I've heard that name. Mm-hmm. No idea who Zach Conk or Patrick Towles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cam Newton is the one that everybody's talking about. Richardson is like basically a Cam Newton clone.
Well, here's the reason that Anthony Richardson piques my interest. Because so many press people think that the Lions should take him with their pick.
Yes.
And I'm going to be honest, I hope they do.
He
And
won't be there.
he won't be there? You think he'll be gone at 6?
Oh yeah. It's 6. I'm sorry. I was thinking the second pick. Yeah, so at 6, yeah, I think that would be, if they took him, I personally think that would be the best thing to do. Sit behind Goff for a year, maybe 2, but probably just 1. And then next season, yeah, the guy can be a beast.
Yeah, I'm totally. See, this is the perfect situation at this point because I'm not completely against Goff because of what he did to end last season. I'm totally fine with him. I think we have 1 more year of him on his current contract. If we take Goff all next year with Anthony Richardson sitting behind him to give him the best situation he could possibly have in his first starting season, that is the best pick. I'm totally fine with them taking a quarterback number 1 and not playing him for an entire year. Especially if it's Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson.
Well, and that would mirror a lot of what happened to Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith his rookie year. So I think that would be a very smart move by the Lions to do that. Now, at 6, I think he should be there. But I also, know that there is a lot of hype around him right now. I mean, everybody's talking about him. So I wouldn't be surprised if a team wanted to get ahead of the Lions and guarantee they got him. Because the Seahawks, I've seen a lot of people talk about the Seahawks doing that with Anthony Richardson sitting behind Geno Smith. So
for 3 years? They just signed him to a 3-year contract.
A year or 2. Yeah, but they can always cut a guy early. They always do.
Didn't they give him... Oh, no, they'll... Where's our notes? I didn't see it. The guaranteed money on him was
$40 million guaranteed.
40 of the 75. So
yeah,
I mean,
now, again, I'd love to see it happen for the Lions. I'm just, I don't know if because I think back to when 2 years ago when Lawrence Wilson and Trey Lance went 1, 2, 3. I think right now with the Panthers definitely taking quarterback, the Texans definitely taking a quarterback, the Cardinals at 3. Could very well trade down to a team that wants to get ahead of the Colts. And if then that happens, the Colts at 4 have to decide, well, are we just going to take a quarterback, whatever's left? And we could have 4 straight quarterbacks going off the board.
If the first 2 picks are quarterbacks, the Lions or the Cardinals would be dumb not to take Will Anderson.
Well, yeah, but if a team's offering them 3 first-round picks to trade down,
if a team's offering them to move down like 3 picks and getting a second or something, where they might still have a chance at Will Anderson, then I'm cool with it. If they move down to like 9, where they're like, oh, we're taking, whatever. I think I am dead set on the Cardinals getting Will Anderson right now.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they do.
It will be interesting for sure.
Big test. It's a big test for the GM. It'll be a very big test for the new GM. So, but yeah, Anthony Richardson, a lot of people knock him because of the accuracy issues, but Josh Allen had the same accuracy issues in college, and look what he's turned into. So,
these are young people,
yes.
Right? Anthony Richardson is it on his Raz card how old he is? It is not. These are young people. They're still growing and maturing as players. So the accuracy thing, if it's really bad, then I can understand it. But Anthony Richardson was a good quarterback in college. This is not like a Delaware State quarterback.
Have you seen the run where he runs like 60 yards and through defenders and everything for a touchdown? Yeah, I mean
I've watched his college clips, and they are impressive. You want to know who this other perfect score is? And I don't even know where this guy's projected to go.
I don't think I can't think of anybody else that I could guess who would have it. So
his name is Zach Kuntz.
Oh, damn, yeah. It's funny. I just read about him as I was doing this. I just read he's 6'7", 225, and he had some surprisingly, like for his size, some very good. He tested very well.
The only thing, he's still got a 10.0. The only yellow mark against him is his weight. Everything else is green.
What's
4.5 dash, 4.55 40-yard dash. He's got green on every speed thing. His height, 9.84 for that. The weight is just a little low with 7.25. Really good bench, good vertical, good broad, good hand size, arm length. The guy is he the number one tight end? Because I don't know the name.
He is projected as, they say, a day 2 pick, so rounds 2 or 3.
So this is a name that you need to remember in your head when you're watching the draft, because this guy,
Yes.
if your team picks him, you're gonna be happy about it.
Yeah, especially that size, man. 6'7" for a tight end. You're talking about red zone targets in the middle of the field. That's pretty awesome. I think he's going to go round 2 or 3. Again, Washington needs a tight end, so if they took him in round 2, man, I'd be happy. But when I saw his testing, the number 1 tight end is the kid from Notre Dame, I think.
I'm going to look at the comps for Kuntz on here.
Good idea.
You got Jordan Cameron.
Oh, yeah. He's a good tight end.
Mike Gesicki.
Okay, yeah.
Luke Musgrave, who I don't remember. It was also from this draft.
Oh.
9.95, Luke Musgrave.
So 2 good tight ends.
Jelani Woods, the really good tight end from
Indy.
Yeah.
He was the rookie last year.
Yeah. And Kevin Brock from Rutgers. I don't know who that is.
No idea.
2009, so I don't remember that name.
Yeah, way too long ago.
But
yeah, nice.
That's a good one.
There you go. I love the combine because you get to see stuff like this where you learn names that you don't, maybe didn't know in the regular season. I remember when I watched Marquez Valdez-Scantling run the receiver drills back his rookie year. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Man, I hope one of my teams drafts him. And he went to the Packers. He's been a good receiver. And I remember watching him actually running the drills, thinking this guy looks nice.
Do you remember who the guy listed as the number 1 tight end is?
God, I don't remember his name. Mike. Is it Mike? Let me see. I'll look it up real quick.
Michael Mayer?
That sounds familiar.
From Notre Dame?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Yeah, so he is, according to the RAS score, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13th ranked tight end as far as RAS score goes.
Who is so Kuntz? The next one, there's another tight end whose name is escaping me right now. Will Mallory from Miami. He was one.
He's ranked 7. And he's got a really, really good RAS score as well. There are a lot of green RAS score tight ends in this draft.
He was one that I saw was listed as a riser coming out of the combine, Will Mallory. So that's another name that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch that.
So all the things he did in the combine were green. All of them were awesome. The vertical jump, the broad jump, the 40-yard, the 20-yard, the 10-yard split, all those were green. The only parts that brought him down were his size, which he's listed as 6'4", which is listed as yellow for whatever reason on the RAS. His weight is 239, which is a 1.64 score, which definitely brought that down.
Yeah.
And he had a low bench. So, but everything else is good. And
he's not a run blocking tight end. He's definitely a pass.
He's a catch guy for sure. Yeah. But
he is listed as a round 4 or 5 pick.
Well, that's another name. Look at the names he compares to: Jared Cook, Jacob Hollister, Robert Tonyan, Zach Miller, and Ike Araguzo.
Okay.
So
I mean, yeah, Jared Cook is definitely, he's been a good pass catching tight end. And that's, sometimes.
And Robert Tonyan, the Packers tight end, that guy's a beast.
Yeah.
So, I love this site.
Yeah, I like that RAS score. That's pretty cool. So, what is Bijan Robinson's RAS?
That's what I wanted to talk about next. I'm bringing up the there was one running back higher as far as RAS score goes than Bijan Robinson.
Wow, that's okay.
But Bijan Robinson had a 9.81, very high, and he's the number one running back, right?
Absolutely, by far.
So this, I would consider that a can't miss as far as running backs go.
Yes.
The only one higher than him is Mississippi running back Deneric Prince with a 9.84, 0.03 better than him.
Let me see. I am not familiar with that name. Let's see.
I'm going to be right back. You keep going. I'm going to keep this up.
Yeah, I want to look up.
I'm going to keep the running back Razes up on the screen. You can talk about some running backs, and I'll be right back.
All right. Deneric Prince. Where is he projected to go right now? Oh, he's not even listed in the top 10 at running back. Interesting. See, the reason I like that because there's always, especially running backs, there's always late round running backs that get drafted and then just blow up. So that's definitely a name I'm going to want to see where he goes, to see where if this RAS score lives up to the hype. Where the hell is he listed? What was his name? Deneric Prince from Mississippi. Deneric Prince, not in the top 12. Boy. What in the world? He is not even in the top 24? He is the 29th ranked running back on whatever website this is that I'm on. Let's click on him and read about him a little bit. 5'11", 216. All right. What does it say here? Doesn't possess elite breakaway speed, but is fast enough to gain yardage in chunks. Plays bigger than his size. All right. Often thrived in the screen game, transitioning upfield quickly and showing a knack for following the blocks. Not a burner. Downhill runner, picks some momentum as he goes. Has a prototypical running back build, well proportioned and thick through the lower body. Weakness: tall, upright runner who lacks great power. Too indecisive and hesitant in line of scrimmage. So this is interesting because this is a guy that definitely I want to keep in the back of my mind to see where he ends up going. Because, I mean, how many times do we see a fourth or fifth round running back just break out when they get an opportunity? So if this dude's RAS score is that good, I'd like to see. It's weird. He's from Mississippi? Because this website has him listed as Tulsa.
I'm going to have to look. Yeah, he's listed as Mississippi on the RAS website, but maybe that part's wrong. I'm going to have to... I'm going to open the RAS site in a new tab here. I got to look up Theo Riddick, what his score was. Because everything you just said sounds like Theo Riddick to me. Does it not?
It does. Well, and even reading about it, I'm thinking to myself, like, this sounds exactly like the type of running back that's going to be like the screen back for a team and all of a sudden break out. Like a fifth round pick that just breaks out. And it's funny. So NFL Next Gen Stats athleticism score for the combine, he was ranked first with an 89. So, I mean, he is the most athletic running back at the combine. I'm definitely going to make a note of this guy. Let me write him down in our podcast notes. Put down
Theo Riddick's RAS score was 3.31.
Yikes.
Yeah.
RAS prospects. I'm going to write down Deneric Prince so that we can come back post-draft to see where he went, and then throughout the season to check in.
Kind of see where he does, see how he does in the preseason. That'd be interesting.
Official rookie running back of Coffin Corners, Mr. Deneric.
Deneric Prince, man, we're calling it.
Congratulations. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, buddy.
Hilarious. And that's what I love about the draft is we do that in the Madden all the time too. It's like we're trying to find those late round gems, and I always get excited to try to see like, all right.
Yeah, so just pretend Raz is our scouting, and we're like, I'm putting this guy on the list. Should I draft him in the 4th round, even though he's predicted in the 6th? Probably. And I think I'm
You
gonna.
should. Because then you wait till the 5th and he's gone already.
Mm-hmm.
That is the tragedy of Dan. I'm gonna wait
Every
one more
fucking
round.
time.
Then he's gone.
I'm like, where'd he go? 3 picks after yours in the 4th. He was supposed to go in the 6th.
Chase Brown, I'm looking at the stream here, is at 9.75, so he was only 0.6 behind Bajar Robinson.
Yep.
Okay, let's see about where he is.
He's from Illinois.
Here. Yeah, all right. So he's listed as a late round pick too. He was the 4th athletic running back in college. 5'9.5".
I was going to say, he has a great RAS score. He has a red on height because he's 5'9". So
yeah, he is. He is.
I don't know that I want a 5'9" halfback. Great score, 4.4340, but I mean that's really short.
I clicked on SB Nation, Big Blue View, the Giants like SB Nation page, because they had an article about Chase Brown, and they have the RAS score listed on this article, so they are also
really
like yes.
I know the RAS has caught on. Like,
yeah,
Kentley Platt used to only post his cards, the like RAS cards, on Twitter. So he would like make them and post them on Twitter, and then someone caught on to it, like one of the big websites, and hired him and made him a website so that he could post all his stuff on there for people to go to and look at.
That is pretty awesome.
So I'm not surprised that that people are taking the RAS score.
They're starting to use it. Very cool. What about let's check out receivers. I'm curious to see how those stack up.
I think that the number one guy is the number one in the draft as far as RAS score goes. Bryce Ford Wheaton? No, it wasn't. The guy who I was thinking of.
Ohio State guy, Jackson. Did he work out at the combine? I thought he didn't work out.
Jackson Smith Najigba.
Yes.
He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th ranked.
Oh. Okay.
But he has a really good score. He's just the 8th ranked.
Yeah, he is the number one by a long shot when it comes to receivers.
Well, I mean, judging my RAS scores, that stacks because he's got the 7th RAS score, but these RAS scores are so close. The tape speaks for itself there.
What about Marvin Mims? He's a wide receiver from Oklahoma.
Marvin Mims is 4 spots behind Jackson Smith.
Okay. He's a 3rd round receiver that was reported as moving up because of his speed. He's like a deep threat.
Well, let's see.
Who was the top guy? I'm just curious to look him up.
The top guy is Bryce Ford Wheaton from West Virginia.
Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Is this guy 5'1"? 5'10". That's what that is. 5'10" and 7/10.
Bryce Ford Wheaton is 6'4". Nice big target.
Let's look at Bryce Ford's card. Yeah, he's green on everything but the 3 cone.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out where he is projected to go.
You said 6'4", and my ears perked up. I don't know where this guy's projected, but I like it. Tall receivers are my jam.
A late round pick, so all right, I'm putting him on the list to keep an eye on this guy too.
Yeah, Bryce Ford Wheaton, that's a good one.
Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Let's see his comps. Number 1 comp, Calvin Johnson, Georgia Tech.
Serious? Wow.
Other comps. Wait, let's keep going. Andre Johnson, Miami.
Oh my gosh.
Chase Claypool, Notre Dame.
Wow.
And then 2 guys that flamed out. Francis Owosu from Stanford and Miles Boykin of Notre Dame.
Oh, Oh, Miles Boykin, I know that name. But Calvin Johnson and Andre Johnson, man, that is some esteemed
That's
company.
yeah, that's a pretty good comp. Just saying.
All right, Mr. Ford Wheaton, let's see where you end up.
Yeah. So as far as
What about just overall? So besides uh, Anthony Robinson and Zach Kuntz, who were some of the highest overalls?
Deontay Banks, cornerback from Maryland, has a 9.99.
I know that name. Why do I know that name? See, I think he might be one of the higher. Deontay Banks.
He's 6 foot, which doesn't seem bad for a cornerback. 6 foot. Anything above 6 foot
size.
for any position where you got to put your hands up seems good. So that's his only yellow is his height.
He is a first round, late first, early second round.
Late first. They have other corners in front of him then.
They do. They've got, there's a few ahead of them.
Well, let me see where they rank on cornerback list. Let's see the cornerbacks. Where do they fall here? You've got Christian Gonzalez from Oregon is a 9.96. Corey Trice Jr.
He is listed as the number 1 corner. Deontay Banks is listed as the 5th, right behind Joey Porter Jr.
Joey Porter Jr., according to this, is the 7th.
Okay.
But he's got a 9.63, so like take that with a grain of salt. That's a very good RAS score.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez is listed as the number 1 corner. So if his score is also pretty good,
this is the thing, right? Usually draft position does play a massive part in these names. But let's say you're watching the draft and this guy's still on the board with this massive RAS score. Yeah. You want that. And that's what the last few drafts when my team grabbed a player, I go and look at the RAS score for that player and think to myself, okay, well, this guy has a 2 point whatever RAS score. What were they looking at? You know?
Yeah.
But so like, let's say that wide receiver, what was his name?
Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Yeah. So let's say Bryce Ford Wheaton gets taken in the 5th round by your team. You come to this website and you look at his combine score and like what his comps are, and you're happy.
Absolutely.
This is what I do every draft is I look up the players that we take on this website and decide from there whether I think they're going to be all right. So
I would just be happy to see a guy that's 6'4" be drafted on my team. I am definitely a fan of the tall receivers.
I like seeing yellow and green RAS scores throughout the entire draft because when you get to the late rounds, if you get red ones, you're like, okay, well, that's probably not going to be a good pick.
Now I wanna look at some of the Commanders picks from last year to see what their RAS scores were.
All right, you tell me the name, I'll search it.
Let's look up Jahan Dotson. Let's go with our first pick.
Jahan Dotson RAS.
Jahan Dotson.
What the hell? Kinley Platt. I brought up his tweets first, so here we go. 6.33. He was a yellow.
Oof, that is not that good.
But it's a yellow, and all his speed stuff. He had 2 greens and a yellow. His only major reds were his 3 cone, which I don't put a lot of stock into. His height and weight, because he weighs 178 pounds and he's 5'10". So those brought his score down a lot. And he got a lot of yellows, but what else you got?
Right.
Who else?
I went to the RAS and you can actually search by team. So
there you go.
Did that. Yeah.
I can't bring that up for you. Where did you go? You went to the RAS website.
And you can click on the teams and select the draft years.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah. So just scroll down, and then
I got it.
Yeah. Because I'm looking at one of our Chris Paul, who was a guard we drafted last year, who played well for us, at a 9.47.
And how did he do this year?
So both of our 7th round picks last year, Chris Paul and Christian Holmes, 9.47 and 9.11. So I mean that's Well, that's some good late round drafting. Why is it this?
Why am I having a hard time here? Draft year 2023.
Well, 2022, because 2023 hasn't happened yet.
That's why it's not showing me anything. Okay. Yeah, so Tariq Castro Fields, cornerback, 6th rounder, had a 9.74 RAS for you guys.
That was actually someone the 49ers drafted that they cut and then we signed, so that's a nice get. And then our 2 7th rounders, I like that.
Christian Holmes, cornerback from Oklahoma State with a 9.11.
And he played well at the end of the year. Him and Chris Paul, both those guys so that's the hope that they found some late round gems with those picks.
Let's see. Let me see if Brian Robinson, 6.59 on the RAS calculator, which is yellow, and that's still pretty good.
Looking at it, yeah, vertical was poor, shuttle 3-cone makes sense, but his size was elite.
Mm-hmm.
So
positive speed grade was great.
Ooh, look at his comps: Ezekiel Elliott and Leonard Fournette. All right.
Nope, pretty good.
I like B-Rob. I'm hoping he doesn't get shot before the season again. A full season of B-Rob with a better offensive line, I'd be very happy.
It sucks that QBs don't really do combines, so you can't get a Sam Howell RAS in there. I would be curious to see what Sam Howell's RAS was. I'm gonna go look and see what
He's fairly physical too, so I mean he's got good speed.
I want to go see what Malcolm Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Was listed as. Because we all know what Rodrigo's doing.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's look at the RAS for the Lions last year. Aiden Hutchinson with a 9.88. Let's fucking go.
Wow.
Malcolm Rodriguez, taken in the 6th round. 9.48 RAS. Kent called that one.
Pick. That was a good pick.
Josh Pascal with a 9.7, and that guy was a good backup at defensive end. James Houston, who was listed as a possible Rookie of the Year candidate for what he did in the few games he played, 7.93. Just outside, 0.07 from being green, I think. Pretty good. Demetrius Taylor, defensive tackle, 6.25. Don't know who that is. Obina Easy. If you watched Hard Knocks, that was the guy. I think he was from Africa that had started playing football like 3 years before he got drafted, or before he signed with the Lions. He had a 5.34. He was yellow. So there's that. James Mitchell, our tight end, we drafted in the 5th, didn't have a RAS. Kirby Joseph, our free safety, who was a beast, didn't have a RAS. Jamison Williams, who was hurt, didn't go in the combine, didn't have a RAS. So most of these for the Lions, I would say, are pretty freaking accurate. For sure.
Yeah, that's a good draft, man. Lions have had some quality drafts lately.
So I'm just saying, I'm excited for this draft. It'll be fun to I'm gonna have to play with the RAS website more than I have the past few days, and start writing down some names, maybe like 5 names per position of like players I like really want to see the Lions look into. Well, depending on their position.
I'm gonna add another one because I pulled it up too. Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa, 9.98, which is the 4th overall RAS score. He is actually projected to be a 2nd-round pick to the Lions at 49 overall. So,
oh wow,
yeah, that would be pretty awesome. I'm gonna put that game on here, and then I threw up another receiver, Jonathan Mingo. He's the number 2 receiver because he's 6'2". He is a 3rd-round projected receiver, so a little bit higher, but he caught my eye because Terry McLaurin was a 3rd rounder. So, lucky 3rd-round receivers there.
Nice. Yeah, there's some.
So
There's some.
it's a fun website to look at. And
I really like this website as far as combines go, and that's the bread and butter of the Raz.
yeah,
But yeah, it's a really. It can give you false hope, and it can make you think a player sucks. But it is a overall. I feel like it is always giving me a pretty good assumption of where a player stands as far as draft pick goes. It's like, okay, well, that guy was red as a third rounder. That's going to be bad. 2 years later, you're like, he's not getting another contract. Pretty much makes sense, So
yeah. Well, and so I wanted to I looked at the Commanders draft since 2020.
Mhm.
Our top guy the last couple of years was Sam Cosmi, who was our second round pick 2 years ago. 9.99 RAS score.
Oh damn!
And he has been a very good offensive lineman for us. And then Jamin Davis, who everybody thought was a bust after his first year, but then played very well last year, was a 9.93. So, not bad. Not bad picks.
You said since 2020?
Yeah, since 2020.
All right, I did 2020 for the Lions. The highest person was Bobby Price, a free safety out of Norfolk State, who I don't even know his name. But the second one is Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, of course.
And then Josh Pascal. Then Afiatu Melifonwu, who's a cornerback, who is a decent backup. He's not a starter by any means, but he's a good backup. Then Rodrigo. And then the one after that, which might surprise people, and I didn't even know he had this high of a RAS score because he didn't even get drafted. Brock Wright, the starting tight end.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then Penny Sewell, Jeff Okuda, Levi Onzuwariki, the defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, another starter, Derek Barnes, another semi-starter when he's not hurt. I love this website. I'm on Ross St. Brown. There we go. 7.12 RAS score. Yellow. But I'd say that's a good RAS score,
Well,
He's right in that, is he good? Is he bad? Range?
Right. Well, and clearly he is
Good.
he has worked out well, yes. I look at the Cardinals just for the hell of it. Marco Wilson was actually their number one.
And he's good.
9.99.
What
Isaiah Simmons.
What Marco Wilson was a what round?
He was a late pick.
Yeah, I was saying he was a late pick, and I remember John Gambadoro, who's a radio host here in Phoenix, being super high on him, and he ended up being like a good corner for them that year that he got drafted.
So I was curious when you talked about the Sun God. Terry McLaurin's RAS score 9.56.
Nice.
Down since day one, baby.
Yeah, everybody knew.
Yeah, that is a fun website. Yeah, and then, like I said, I'm excited to see now with Deneric Prince and Bryce Ford Wheaton, especially. Those two are being the number ones at their positions. I'm like, all right, some late round gems. Hopefully one of them lands on one of our teams.
Number one at prime positions, right?
Yes.
And Luke Kuntz, you should put that down for the tight end.
Yeah, he was actually listed as a riser where in one of the places I read. So I'm gonna it's Zach Kuntz from
Oh, is it Zach? I thought it was Luke for some reason.
Yeah. Isn't Luke Combs is the singer.
Also a very cool guy.
Yes. Also a great tight end, Luke Combs.
Yeah, good old Luke Combs.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, should be a fun
I'm looking forward to it. The draft is going to be a lot of fun. I love it every year.
Hey,
especially
if
when
you're going to come to Phoenix for the Super Bowl, you should come to Havasu for the draft, man. My dad always barbecues.
Isn't that my birthday?
Your birthday's the Sunday before, and I'm going to be there. And then you
come
in on your regular days off. You're already off on Tuesday or Thursday and Friday, so I'm taking off work.
You're a smart man. You're a smart man. I like this.
Come on down, man. Because me and my dad, we're old school, so we always go buy magazines and have like magazines that we can read about as well when they draft people we don't know. So yeah,
dude, you're like bringing back crazy, stupid memories, but like in a football season and college football season when I was younger. So let's say junior high, high school, and a little bit into college. I always bought those sporting news or whatever it was.
Yeah, sporting
preview.
News.
The preview, yes. And where like you had like two full pages on every team, who their depth chart was, like what their stats were last season. I am the biggest, and this must be a generational thing because as far as sports fans go for like nowadays, they don't watch box scores the same way we did because everything they want is available to them right now. The Suns game probably just ended. They could look it up right now and find out. But for those of us out there that were like, well, I wasn't awake for that game. I have to open the newspaper tomorrow to see what the baseball or basketball box score was. I read box scores religiously. Like those magazines and being able to open to the page of my team and see what the stats were for my players on my team last year, it felt so good because there was no way to look it up online. That was the only way to know that this player had over 1,500 yards last season. You're like, I remember watching him and him being good. And it's so nice to see that confirmed with numbers on this piece of paper. So I completely understand like the old school mentality because I check box scores religiously. I haven't watched a Coyotes game in probably 10 years, but I check the box score every time just to see how they're doing. And like, so I know what players are good based on their stats, whether people are saying that's the good player on the team or not. I know by like every time I look at the box score, this dude is fucking killing it. So that is the good guy on this team. I don't know.
Heck yeah.
That just brought back some massive memories for me because I opened a box in my garage the other day, which has all the old. I used to have a Sports Illustrated subscription, and they send you one a month, so you have 1,000 of them. But at some point, you're like, I can't keep every single one. So I've kept every Sports Illustrated that I thought had a cool cover of a player that I thought was awesome. And I'm looking at it like, these are awesome. I have all these Sports Illustrated. I have all the college. And so Sports Illustrated back, probably always, based on where your mailing address was, they would send you the cover of your region, and most of the time, because ASU sucks, it was Arizona players. And so I have so many awesome like college basketball previews with Arizona players on it, or college football previews with, awesome, the Arizona quarterback and the ASU quarterback staring at each other.
Yeah.
You just
Jake Plummer.
Memory unlocked right there, man. It's just so crazy how little people care or think about the printed form of media in this day.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to even find those magazines anymore because we used to do that, especially for fantasy football. We would go buy 4 or 5 of the different magazines, ESPN, Sporting News, all of them. Acon, or there's like Acon or some brand. And now it's like you get like 1 or 2 that they print each year. It's rough because it's still fun to read, man. Put your phone down for a minute, read a magazine.
I feel like it's quicker. You know what I mean? Like I can thumb through this.
For everything, it's right there.
I don't have to like type it in. It's right fucking there. Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So we'll wrap up the scouting combine and draft preview and dive into free agency preview. So I pulled the list of top free agents by ESPN standards, just to see what they thought. They had Orlando Brown as the number one free agent. Makes sense. Offensive lineman, he's 27, so good age. Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle from the Eagles, another player they're losing. Mike McGlinchey. Jamel Dean, a corner from Tampa Bay. I'm not familiar with his name, but apparently he's good, and he's only 26.
You know, so ESPN ranked Chauncey Gardner-Smith as the 29th free agent. 29th?
ESPN did? This list is from ESPN.
Maybe it wasn't ESPN. It was another one of those big ones. But I'm on NFL.com, and it has Chauncey Gardner-Smith Johnson as 3 and James Bradbury as 4.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Orlando Brown is 2. Javon Hargrave is 1. The Eagles have a lot of high free agents.
They are losing. Yeah, they're losing a lot.
Jesse Bates from the Bengals is a massive free agent. That guy is really, really good, and he's still young. He's only 26.
Yep. Yeah, he's gonna be a good one. And again, for a lot of our teams need safety. So
top
Schultz,
10.
I was surprised Dalton Schultz was that high.
Top 10, number 8 on NFL.com, Zach Allen of the Cardinals.
Wow. Didn't even make the top 10 on ESPN's list.
Zach Allen of the Cardinals on ESPN.
Another player the Cardinals should be re-signing.
That guy's good. He's really good. For them to not re-sign him doesn't make sense to me.
He learned so much from J.J. Watt, man. They got to re-sign him. And then James Bradbury, Gardner Johnson are 7 or 8 on ESPN. Jawan Taylor, number 9, and Dramont Jones, I think that's the Broncos defensive tackle, is number 10.
Yeah, he's a Bronco.
Yeah. So, some good young defensive players available. You know, not a lot of big like there's no quarterbacks, receivers, running backs available in the top 10. But like you said earlier, they're good pieces. They're really good pieces to plug into teams. So.
Well, Jacoby Myers is ranked 12th in the NFL.com.
Okay, so that's
and you read it, it's like, just watch him run routes. Myers can fit into any offense as the number 2 or 3 receiver. He's able to win inside and out depending on the team's need that week or season.
You know, another player that I should have listed this guy as one of my intriguing free agents because he's a Commander free agent that I really want them to re-sign, not Deron Payne. Cole Holcomb, our linebacker.
I know that name because he's good.
I love that dude. And I'm hoping he's not listed high anywhere as like available free agent, so hopefully he's kind of going under the radar. I really hope they re-sign him. Love that dude.
Mike Gesicki is ranked 23 on NFL.com, age 27, so he's still pretty young. And I love the first line of his is he's much more than bad versions of the Gritty. With a link.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Byron Murphy's number 24 on NFL.com. We talked about him.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
I don't understand this ranking. Okay. If it's based on the years he had in Detroit. If you base it on the years he had as a Jaguar, I understand. Based on the years he had in Detroit, ranked 28, DJ Chark, wide receiver, age 26. I mean, I guess he's still young, and he's okay.
That's younger than I thought, actually.
But he did nothing. Well, he was injured a lot on the Lions, I'll say that. But
yeah,
I would not, only because I saw him firsthand as a Lions fan. If we signed DJ Chark, I'd be like, you're going to have to prove something to me. It's not, oh, shit, we got DJ Chark. Which is what I said when we got him from the Jaguars. When we got him from the Jaguars, I'm like, oh, shit, we got DJ Chark? Yeah.
I think it's just the lack of receivers. There's not a lot of them available, so maybe it just kind of pushes up his value a bit. But 26 is pretty young. I mean, he could still bounce back. If the Texans are going to pay Robert Woods, someone's going to pay DJ Chark.
No, that's for sure. Here's another name that was very, very interesting to me. I almost put on my list, and that's Patrick Peterson. He's 33, which is fine. He's older cornerback, but if you're looking for cornerback help, that guy can still play.
And as not your number one, but, you know, as depth especially, definitely.
That guy can still play on either side of the ball. Still,
Either side of the,
he can be a 1 or a 2.
yeah.
He's not a corner. He's not
I don't
a.
know if he-
He's
I
not
don't
a.
know if he can
He's
be a
not a
one.
slot corner at this point.
No, but I don't know if he could be a 1 at this point. I don't know.
I will agree that is a concern for sure.
Yeah.
But he's definitely a 2.
No, yeah.
Patrick
Yeah,
Peterson
well,
was really good on the Vikings. Obviously, very good on the Cardinals.
I mean, look at the number 2 in Washington. I'd rather have Patrick Peterson than Benjamin St. Just.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So current cap space, a lot of teams have positive cap space, but some of them still have negative. But the Bears have 75 million, ridiculous. They're going to be spending a lot of money. Falcons have 62, 63 almost, so they could also be aggressive. Raiders got rid of Derek Carr, so they've got a bunch, but they're probably going to sign Garoppolo. The Texans, of course, bad team, 38 million. Just looking at our teams, the Lions have 18. That's pretty good. Can sign some people. Commanders have 16. They still have people they should.
Is this before or after they dropped Michael Brockers? Because Michael
today. So
okay, I would say because Michael Brockers was supposed to free up 10 million in cap space.
Probably did already then. Yeah, right. This is as of tonight. But let's see. Where are the Cardinals? Cardinals actually have 32.6, which is funny. They're talking about trading DeAndre Hopkins. Why? We don't need the cap room. Just keep him for this year. But going back, so look at
let me make a bold prediction. Hopkins will stay on the Cardinals, despite all the rumors.
I believe so as well.
I don't think that Monty Austinfort came into the job by like, people are talking about trading this guy. Let's trade one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Yeah,
especially when we're trying to get our you know what I'm saying? You're trying to play through a backup quarterback for multiple games.
Well, and I think they've said they want a second-round pick for him, but I mean, they may get a late second-round pick, but just keep him. Keep him for another year. You know, see how he does when he doesn't miss the first 6 games and isn't catching passes from 3rd or 4th string quarterbacks because Kyler and everybody's hurt all the time. I was surprised though. So the Bills 19 million over the cap, and the Saints are 25 million over the cap. I don't know how the hell they're going to get under the cap. I mean, that's like the Saints. That's like cutting Michael Thomas to get under the cap. That's aggressive.
The Saints are over the cap and just signed Derek Carr, by the way. So that probably would put them over that cap. They're just going to drop people to get there underneath.
But that's
the Buccaneers losing Tom Brady and still being over the cap is very bad for them.
Well, I
very
think when
bad
they cut
for them.
Leonard Fournette officially, they might get under. But I've also heard rumors that they're going to have to cut like Mike Evans and stuff. Like they're definitely in full rebuild mode at this point. The Bucs are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there you go. That is the free agency preview. Very excited. Come Monday, we get the legal tampering period, which basically when everybody says where they're going, and then Wednesday we get the official start of free agency.
Now I got a question for you.
Yes.
In this section of free agency, because we're both Cardinals fans. Who will be the starting quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals Game 1, 2023? That's this year.
Yeah, man.
I have a 100. No, I'm going to go with an 85% guess on who I think their starting quarterback will be.
Let me look something up real quick. Because I'm curious. I don't know who our offensive coordinator is, so I want to look him up and see.
I remember he's the youngest guy on their he's the 25-year-old or something like that.
35.
35?
35. I believe the
defensive coordinator is the really young one. That's right.
Yes. So he was on the Browns as their quarterbacks coach.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you think Baker? No.
No, not Baker. Not Baker. Not Baker.
Who else?
Are you serious?
Browns quarterbacks? The only one that comes to mind is
Who?
Jacoby Brissett.
There you go.
Yeah. Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett is a free agent. Jacoby Brissett is the guy that filled in until Deshaun Watson came back last year.
Yes.
Jacoby Brissett played really well in that role. Jacoby Brissett is a free agent with an offensive coordinator on a team that needs a quarterback that will fill in. I am 85% positive that Jacoby Brissett will be the starting quarterback for the Cardinals next year.
I definitely see. That's why I looked up the offensive coordinator, because that was my line of thinking too. Is like, who does he have ties to? So yes, I agree. I like that signing.
And I like it. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
it's not. I'm not saying it just because that's what's probably going to happen. I like Jacoby Brissett. He is. Yeah. That is his entire career, basically.
He's just a very
the guy that fills in. Andrew Luck is hurt. Jacoby Brissett. Deshaun Watson is suspended. Jacoby Brissett. Kyler Murray is hurt. Jacoby Brissett. If you can build your career off making money on people being hurt, people would kill to be in the position Jacoby Brissett plays. And does well at. That's the other thing. So
I just looked up the Cardinals defensive coordinator. He is 29, so he is.
I knew he was in his 20s.
Here's some interesting facts about him. He started his coaching career at Wake Forest in 2017, so he's only been in coaching for 6 years. He was the assistant linebackers coach in Minnesota in 2020, Eagles linebacker coach in 2021, 2022, and now defensive coordinator. So that dude skyrocketing up his career. But here's something fun. His brother is Mike Rallis, who is a professional wrestler in WWE known as Madcap Moss.
What?
Yeah. Fascinating.
Fun fact.
Yeah, just
that'll help you win Jeopardy.
Fun fact.
Wow.
That is gotta love random facts.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. This is fun, man. I'm really looking forward to free agency and the draft. When do we want to do our next podcast? Do we want to talk? Because the draft, what is today? 3/11. So if we were to wait a month for the next podcast, that would be a draft pod. That would be a post free agency podcast, pre-draft podcast.
Well, we could do it. So April 22nd is the weekend that I'll be in Phoenix for your birthday and for that. So we could do an in-person one if you wanted. Otherwise, we could do it on April 15th.
And that's right before the draft, right?
The draft is April 27th. So either
no. So okay,
yeah. Either one of those weekends we'll be able to recap free agency, preview the draft.
Why were you talking about me going to your house the weekend before?
No, for the draft itself. So I'll be in Phoenix
the week after my birthday.
Yes. The Wednesday, so the Thursday, Friday after your birthday is the draft.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I was saying. Come down.
Every freaking year, the draft is right around my birthday, so I always get confused with that.
Come down and watch it with me and my dad. We'll barbecue. We can pour over some Raz scores and have some fun.
That would be really fun. I haven't been over to that city that you live in a while, so.
It's since the Super Bowl, and that was 2020.
Probably
2020?
2020. That would be my guess.
I can't remember if it was during the pandemic or right before the pandemic, but yeah.
I'm having a fucking this has nothing to do with football, but I'm looking between my two screens, my two monitors that are vertical, and I know this, but we have the same fucking chair, and it's driving me crazy.
We do have the same chair, and we're wearing the same color shirt.
It's like we're the same fucking, and we both have beards.
Yeah, mine's a little less full, but also a little less gray, so I'll take it.
Well, yeah, that's the fucking thing. I can look this way, and it's
We
all.
also both have receding hairlines, so you know.
Here's the worst part. If I look this way, it's all gray.
Yeah.
If I look this way,
A little better.
it's we're not quite there. So
There's like one gray hair right here that really highlights.
I see it. I see
Yeah.
it.
And like
I see that gray hair, sir.
It reflects the light like crazy.
Do you have kids I don't know about? Where'd that gray hair come from?
That's just getting old. This is what happens when you naturally age.
Oh yeah. So
You had the
this just comes
accelerated
from 4 children.
Yeah.
That's where I get that.
That was like you could actually see like there's one gray patch for each kid. They got 1, 2.
I'm gonna
3,
be.
and 4.
I'm actually gonna be very mad when the chin balls
Connect and just become like a stretch.
Well, see, if you look this way, you still see the chin ball on that side. If you look this way, it just chin balls turning into an entire side of the face. So
Just once, you should just dye it, just to freak joy out. I would love
dye
that.
it
Just, like,
red or gray.
Red, not
Okay.
like dye back to red, man. You would look 10 years younger.
Well, like,
Just to freak everybody out.
I'll just start acting like it's Terminator. It's me, Daniel from the future. No, I would have to say I'm from the past. Shit.
Yeah.
It's
From
me,
the past.
Marty
Future.
Marty McDaniel.
Darth Vader visited me from the planet Voltron. Oh man, this was a fun podcast. It was nice and big.
Jet!
It's been over a month since we had.
Jet, I see you lurking. You're the best. I love you.
What is up, Jet? That was our only. It was a very quiet.
It was a quiet podcast. It's
It
fine.
was a quiet podcast.
Our friends have shown
Which is
out
good, though,
in the end.
because we had a lot to talk about. So
Hey, you know what?
We never.
I will
Never broke
listen.
stride.
I will yell into the void for hours on end. It does not matter to me. I enjoy talking football, so
Exactly.
that's how it goes.
Exactly. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening, and we hope you enjoyed this little recap podcast. A little over 2 hours, but we covered a lot. We had some fun.
We did. We
We
had a
will be
lot.
back.
I had a lot of fun. I didn't just
you will
have
be
some. I
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, we'll be back. I'm guessing April 15th. We'll be back with our free agency recap.
free agency recap, draft preview. That'll be a fun episode for sure.
Absolutely. I'm excited, man. I can't wait for this. I love the draft and free agency. Always my favorite time of year. A, because it reminds me of playing Madden, and B, because the Commanders are never playing for shit come December. So this is like Christmas for me.
All I know is the Lions had a winning record and have the 6th pick, so I'm happy.
That's awesome.
Thanks for
And maybe a
tanking.
little Anthony Richardson.
Thank you for tanking, Matthew. You got your Super Bowl, and we got the 6th pick. Matthew Stafford could not love the Detroit Lions more than he does.
He's a lion for life, that man.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We will be back in a month, probably April 15th, like Richie said, for the free agency recap going into the draft. Thank you for listening, and thanks for always supporting the show. If you want to find out for sure if we're going to be on there on that April 15th podcast, you can go to discord.me/Coffin Corner. That is where you can join our Discord, where we post all our going live or scheduling plans. So go check that out. If you don't, go check out our TikTok, Coffin Corner Podcast. I plan on posting the most meme-tastic free agent post you'll ever see in the next month. It'll be great. But other than that,
I'm going to spend this weekend, I'm just going to plan one amazing TikTok, just like I did that one back in week 2 of last season. That's all I got. And I'm not going to post a lot. I'm just going to post viral ones.
Yes, you be the viral guy. I'll post the I'll post the meat in the sandwich TikToks.
There you go.
So,
Awesome.
all right, we'll be back for episode 2. If you didn't know, this is season 2 of the Coffin Corner Podcast. Starting it off with the brand new league year of the NFL. We'll be back for episode 2, covering the free agency and going into the NFL draft very soon. And until then, thanks everybody for listening. We love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Richie, tell the people goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Later.